Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. Lieutenant Josh Johnson from the 115th Fighter Wing. And we're going to continue looking at the Reimbursable Program Analysis tool. And so what we got here is we have our Reimbursable Program Analysis tool that's available out there on the SharePoint now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, if you go out, you download a copy of this, how do you just make it yours? You don't want to build it from scratch. You don't want to create any new wheel. You just want to go in and alter this so that your data comes in. Well, first, you'll want to go out, you'll want to download a copy of the template from our SharePoint site. You'll also want to download a copy of the .report file that will be in the folder as well, and import that into Chris. And then once you import it into Chris, what you'll do is you'll take it and see. So once you open it up and bring it into Chris, you'll be able to see that you have your RIB tool here. You'll come down and you want to change a few things. You want to make this to whatever the current open fiscal year is. I should say non-canceled fiscal year, so even if it's expired. Right now we're in fiscal year 17, so 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16 is what I'm looking at. The DOV, NBQ, we want to make sure that that's not there. An NBQ voucher is just a alternating voucher so that they get it to the right treasury accounts. ADSN, we're not looking at anything in Deems here, so I'm just going to do not 387700. That's Vice doing 667100 or 5080, I believe. 00 for Columbus. I'm not a Columbus guy, sorry. And then you're going to want to come down here. You're going to change your OBAN to whatever your OBAN is. If you need more than one OBAN, just add it to the in list and keep plussing up until you get there. These are the ESP codes that I use, is 7 Charlie, LA, QA, and 5F for my ACC reimbursements. If you have additional ones for your ACC or AMC reimbursements, by all means add those in. Notice that this does not call into account anything with a sales code or without. What we're looking for is even if we accidentally create a DTS line of accounting, or if we created a supply PFMR, or we created a contract that lacked the sales code and it wasn't obligated that way, we want to be able to capture it so that we can identify our available to bill, but then we have to realize what we have to change. Next down here, we're going to take away, again, just like above, no killed PSRs, no line billed PSRs, and no memo accounting transactions, because the net gain is 0 there. And it's just a DFAST change. So we're also going to look for our 2012 status. We're going to make sure that that's not there. ADSN is 387700, not in the list again, or does not equal. Change your OBAN here. And now notice this one here. We're saying we want to make sure that this OR is looking for any line of accounting that does not have a sale, or that has a sales code. So blank sales codes are not involved. So these might be all captured in this query as well, but this will also capture anything that does not have an ESP code. So now you're capturing your subsistence line of accounting and other things along those lines. And if you're concerned about your subsistence, by all means, tweak these queries up here to include anything else down here. But your sales code direct and your sales code PCR should both have, or your subsistence PCT, your subsistence PCS and your subsistence PCR should both have a sales code assigned tool. Getting a little tongue-tied there this morning. It must be a long day. So then just go ahead and click Save and run your query. After you've run your query, now you're going to need to export and save that to a location very similar to what you've put your reimbursement program analysis template in. And then we're going to go into Deems and go to Discover Viewer, and we're going to start to run a report. And the suspense was killing me. You have to love the miracle of technology. So now what we've done is we've gone into Discover Viewer, we've searched for STH, we found our General Ledger Transactions STH-New Sheet 1 report, or the GL Transactions report. And so what we're going to do is go in here, and there's two options that you can run this by. Here in your fund, you can do a 1313R with percent signs on both ends, comma, 141, comma, percent, 1414R, percent, comma, for each fiscal year or period of availability that you're looking for. Or you can just do a percent R, and then come down here to fiscal year and add in your fiscal year separated by a comma. Any field in Deems separated by a comma, and the search function will continue. So we have just our OE. We're looking for only our R fund for 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Always put in your AAI 387700, because believe it or not, you will get Limestone or Columbus data that does flow back and forth between Deems. And then your GL account information, all we're looking for is our non-appropriation GLACs. So make sure that when you look at your data set, what you're doing is just these GLACs here. You can click inside there, double click or Control A, copy those GLACs, paste them into this field, and then click Go. And what you're going to end up with is an STH for all your R funds in that data. Once that's available, go ahead and export that to your folder. And then what you want to do is when you export it, alright, so once you end up with enabling your content after the export and you end up here, just always know that this is a large file that's made larger because of how Deems exports. So if it says compatibility view up in there, just click on that file tab and go right here to convert. Just click on convert. And now what you end up with is the ability to do a macro enabled notebook and save it right there. So just click save. If it's the first time you've done it, it will not ask you this, but if not, you're just going to save right over the top of it. And once that happens, it's going to then pop up with a report that asks you, do you want to reopen it into a new file? Once you get this, it'll say you need to open it for the new file format to take effect. Here's where you can or can't, it's however you feel, but know that it's already been converted, it's already saved into its location, so you don't need to. You can click no and then just X out. So now we've saved our BQ data, we've saved our Deems data. The rest of the material that's in here is all formatted for you. So on our support tab, tables tab, yes, I know it's a little bit small. I'll get in here and I'll zoom in for you in just a second. So now we have just a real quick idea. We have our GL accounts and the bids that are associated with them. We have a table for you already embedded in there for that. We have a table embedded for all of your sales codes and what they actually apply to and what they mean, so you can easily look that up. We have our EEC to OC table already established with all of our titles, and then we have our fund codes and appropriations back and forth. So those data sets are already in there for you, so you don't need to worry about linking or doing any of those information. But what we're worried about here is our BQ data and our Deems data and how we do it. So how do we change that? We just go up here to our data tab, and then under connections you open up your dialog box, and what you end up with is you end up with your title of those workbook connections, so BQ data. In order to upload this and make sure that your data is what they use, just go over here, make sure it's highlighted, and click on properties. Once you click on properties, you're going to get this other dialog box here. If you're an ACC unit, change it to ACC, however you want to determine it. But right here, your definitions. Notice this connection file. This is where it's looking for that data set right now. And down here is all the different connection strings. So if you have it either, different types of OLDB or OLDCs or any other types of connections established, you can go down there and see those. If you're running it through Access, you can see the data file that's connected, etc. So all you do is click Browse, and then you're going to go through and you're going to source and find exactly where that data set is. So all you're doing is going through and looking for that data information, and there we found it. So all we're going to do is click OK. It will refresh and then ask you what table you want. Boom, there we go. Notice it refreshed. It gave us the rest of the line of accounting data, and then you just click OK. When you click OK, what it's going to do is down here in the bottom, it'll say connecting to data source. It'll then say it's reprocessing, and then it's calculating, and it will run through all of its transactional level to give you your data set. And now what you're going to do is, once that's accomplished, you're going to go right back into Deems, and you're going to do the exact same thing. So if you want to change the title, by all means, this title does not affect anything. Go right ahead. Your definition, you're going to go in there, you're going to browse and save the sheet. You're going to click OK. It's going to refresh everything and go from there. Now once that happens, what you're going to realize is that all of your data is now in there, and none of these screens are going to work correctly. They're all going to say reference errors and NAs because they're not clearly defined. So what we have to do is we have to define our PTEO. So what we do is we go into the BQ data and we make sure that all of our filters are clear. We come over to our PTEO tab. I'm going to show you two easy ways to do this. So all we do is just highlight that, and copy, go back over here to the setup, and paste values. Now once you paste values, this may take a moment, but once you're there, you'll have all of this long string. And to make sure that we're not doing more than we need to, let's just make sure that while that's all still highlighted, still up here under the Data tab, click on Remove Duplicates. And then just unselect all, because the only thing we want to remove duplicates in is the potato field. So we're just going to click OK. And now it's going to go through and say, alright, which one of these are duplicates and how many can I get rid of? So it's going to think a while, because notice there's 4,966 lines of accounting that it's trying to now decipher. So now 4,949 duplicate values are found, all of that for 17 lines of accounting. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go in here, just add another line, either hit tab, and now you're going to do the same thing to your Deems data that you need to do. So we're going to go all the way back over here, back up top to our potato. We're going to highlight the entire potato field, copy that, go back over to our setup, paste values, wait for that to run, remove duplicates, unselect all, just our potato, and go OK. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be able to cycle that through all of the data process. And the convenient thing about the potato structure for legacy and Deems is they're created the same, so they should mirror. So once you move something from Deems to legacy and back and forth, it all uses the OC, it all uses the sales code field, and everything else along those lines. So we'll see in just a moment where that data takes us. And there we go, 9,491 duplicate values found, and removed 35 unique values remain. So now we have 35 total values. And so now that you have all of your Deems data and all of your legacy potatoes identified, now you're going to be able to go in here and make sure that your major RB programs are established. If you have utility billings, if you have large CE projects, add all of those in there. Go right ahead. Expense categories, make them however you need to make them make sense. Because then when you go in here to major RB billings, you can know 96 alpha, that's my subsistence. I'm going to make that subsistence. And once you have all these named, all you have to do is go in here and either click refresh all up here under data, or go into the individual potato columns and right click and refresh. So that should give you everything you need to know to be able to establish those data connections, rename your potatoes, go in and click refresh, and you should then immediately begin to be able to analyze your program data. Again, Lieutenant Josh Johnson. If you have any questions, find me, give me a shout. I'm available on the global somewhere out there. I think I am in a 52, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.